All right, folks, welcome back. It is finally time to try out our 6.5 Creedmoor upper in our AR-10. Hopefully you've been following along with our AR-10 series and you already know what's going on here, but to quickly recap, we went with Aero Precision. This upper receiver and handguard are exactly like the ones we're shooting in 308. This guy is M-lock where the other is key mod, but otherwise pretty much an identical setup. The barrel in this dude is a Ballistic Advantage. This is a 20-inch 1-in-8 twist, which is exactly like our Thompson center compass that we've been using in 6.5 Creedmoor up to this point. This is the premium series Ballistic Advantage barrel. It's got a .875-inch gas block, and I went with a Superlative Arms adjustable guy, so hopefully that works out. This is the first time I've used a Superlative Arms. The point of today's video is to just break this guy in, see if it functions, and hopefully get some idea of what sort of accuracy it's capable of. We've got to thank Ballistic Advantage. They sent us this barrel to test with, so I'm hoping it's going to be a good shooter. We've been a little bit spoiled in 6.5 Creedmoor because our little Thompson center compass shoots amazing. So I don't know if we'll get performance that good out of this barrel, but boy, I hope we do. I really hope we do. So that's what today is. Break in the barrel, see if it shoots, and try not to blow our face off. Now we've got two different bolts for our AR-10. Our JP 308 barrel came with a JP high pressure bolt, and that's all we've been using over in the 308 videos. Well, I've also got an Aero Precision bolt that came with my bolt carrier group. Tell you what, folks, this bolt carrier group is cleaning up so nice. I have not done anything except wipe this dude off. So we've got a decent number of rounds on it, and man, it is cleaning up nice. So a really nice finish. I'm very happy with the Aero Precision bolt carrier. And the bolt that came with this carrier is supposed to be a high pressure bolt. I think a lot of this high pressure bolt crap comes from 6.5 Creedmoor, right? It can be tough on brass. Primer cratering is very common. We see that in our Thompson center compass, and these fancy bolts are supposed to help with that. Well, we've been chewing up brass like nobody's business over in 308, so at least with the JP high pressure bolt, maybe it's better than a standard bolt would be, but it's certainly not magic. Like, it's not just a magical fix for all those sorts of problems. So, okay, back to today's video, the 6.5 Creedmoor video. I think today we're primarily going to run the Aero Precision bolt. I want to see how it's going to perform. Plus, Aero Precision and Ballistic Advantage, pretty much the same company, I think. So I expect this Aero Precision bolt to headspace properly in our Ballistic Advantage barrel. I don't know. I don't have a headspace gauge. I'm an idiot. We might be blowing our face off here. I don't know. We'll find out together. I also want to shoot at least a few with the JP bolt. That way we can take our brass, compare the headspace of the brass that comes out, and see if there's much effect on headspace between the two bolts. So we'll play it by ear when we're out on the range. We'll be swapping some bolts back and forth. But like I said, I want to try out the Aero primarily. So yeah, that's the way we'll go with that. All right, on to what we're going to be shooting. First of all, let's talk about brass. With our Thompson center compass, we've been using this same batch of 100 pieces of Starline small primer brass. This is what I want to shoot today. We are on the 9th firing with this stuff, and it's holding up pretty darn well. So that's going to be our brass. Now, I had already resized this brass, planning to use it in the compass. Like, this stuff is completely ready for primer, powder, and bullets. I've only bumped the shoulder a couple thousandths from the way it comes out of the compass, so I was worried that this might not fit in the gun. I've tested it, and the gun goes right into battery with both bolts. So this brass is good to go. It looks like the Ballistic Advantage barrel is going to be a little bit more generous on the headspace measurement than we've seen from our Thompson center compass, which is good, right? So that's the brass. We are going to use CCI number 41 primers, and I've pulled out 3 different bullets. The first is the Hornady Match, the 140 grain boat tail hollow point. This bullet shoots amazing in the Thompson center compass, and it also shoots really well in my 6.5 Grendel AR-10. So this is just a really good bullet. They're inexpensive when compared to most other 6.5 match bullets. So love this bullet. This will be our primary test bullet for today. We're going to load up 30 rounds with this bullet. The powder we're going to use with it is IMR 4451. We've had some impressive results out of the compass with this stuff, so hopefully we see the same here in the AR-10. Overall length, we're going to go with 2.8 inches. Our charge weight is going to be 41.6 grains. That gave us 2,573 feet per second out of the Thompson center compass. So basically 2575 feet per second, same barrel length. I expect we'll see similar numbers from the Ballistic Advantage barrel. Now this is a hot load. The Hornady Max is 41.3. If you go over to the Hodgson website, it's 41.1. So we're just a little bit over the published max. Probably a pretty stupid thing to do. But in our testing with the Thompson Center compass, we've been quite a bit higher than this. So it didn't blow up the compass. Hopefully it doesn't blow up the AR-10. So we're loading up 30 rounds of that combination. The next bullet is the 143 grain Hornady LDX. This has also been a really good shooter in the compass. We're shooting 2.8 inches of overall length, and we're going to use 41.5 grains of H4350. This is also a pretty hot load. This is right at Hornady's max is 41.5, just like what we're shooting, and Hodgson shows 41.8. Just like the other combo, over in the compass, we've been much hotter than this and managed not to kill ourselves. So, pretty hot load. Hopefully we don't get into trouble. Velocity 2650 out of the compass. I'm going to load up 10 of these. Should be enough to get a good idea of what sort of accuracy we're getting. And last up is going to be the 130 grain Sierra Game King. Now with this bullet, I'm trying to cause trouble here. This is a very flat-nosed bullet with a big hollow point that's crimped into that funky shape. It won't surprise me a bit if we have feeding problems with this bullet. So this very well might not be appropriate for this platform, but there's only one way to find out. So we're going to load up 10 of those. We're going to go with a 2.7 inch overall length, which is the same thing we used in the compass. The Sierra manual recommends 2.670, so 30 thousandths shorter. So once I get one of those loaded up, I'm going to make sure and chamber it in the gun, make sure we're not hitting the lands, but I think we'll be okay. I was going to shoot Winchester 760. That's the powder I kind of settled on with that bullet, but I've run out of it. So we're going to switch over to Reloader 17, which is the other powder I tested with this bullet. It also shot really well. I picked the load that shot the best in the compass, which was 42.3 grains, which is almost 1 grain under the 43.2 grain max in the Sierra manual. And this should be right at 2,800 feet per second. So we're going to load up 10 of those dudes. So I think that's pretty much it. I feel like I haven't talked enough about our upper, but we've covered it all so much in the previous videos. I've got an AR-10 playlist. So if you want more information about the guns and the build and the parts and how we put it together and the thought that went into the decisions we made about what we went with, just head over to the AR-10 playlist, start at the beginning, and then skip over the 308 videos and land back here. You should be caught up. So we're ready to start priming. Got primers sitting all over the place here. I should really pull out my Frankfurt Arsenal hand priming tool. It's been a while since I've used that guy, but the RCBS is sitting here and it's easy, so we'll just stick with it. I haven't even looked up Ballistic Advantage's recommended barrel break-in procedure, and to be honest, I don't really care. We'll just do it the way we've been doing most other barrels here on the channel lately. Shoot a couple rounds and clean it, and then shoot a bit more, and then clean again at about the 20 round mark. And then we might clean one more time at, I don't know, 30 or 40 rounds or something. I don't know. I don't think it matters. I don't think I can shoot well enough to tell the difference between barrel break-ins. So we're just not going to sweat it too much. So we've loaded all of these combinations before, obviously, in our 6.5 Creedmoor. So I'm going to skip over most of the loading. You can always head over to the 6.5 Creedmoor playlist if you want to jump back to those videos and see these combos in more detail. And actually the 130 grain Sierra and the 143 grain Hornady LDX, we even gel tested those bullets. So, yep, I'm just going to skip over most of the loading. I'll flip on the camera if something interesting happens, but otherwise, I say we just get out on the range. All right, so quick overall length update. With our 130 grain Sierra Game King that we were originally going to shoot at 2.7 inches, I need to back that down. Let's go down to the Sierra recommended overall length of 2.670. At the longer length, at 2.7, we were going to be either right on the lands or just barely jammed into the lands. And we definitely don't want that for the first range trip with a semi-auto, right? The other two bullets are fine at 2.8 inches. They're both going to have like 75, 85 thousandths of jump, it looks like. So that's it. Just a little bit shorter with the 130, but the rest of the plan looks good. All right, folks, the weather out here is disgusting. It is after 7 p.m. and the temperature is still in the mid 90s. very high humidity, just absolutely miserable. I brought the gun outside as soon as I got home from work at like 5:30, and as soon as I took it outside, just the whole thing was covered in condensation. All right, so I've got my 24 power Vortex scope on this dude. I've got a target at 100 yards. We're gonna start off, I've got the Aero Precision bolt in here, and we're just gonna shoot one round and see if it blows up. No suppressor, and the gas block is shut almost all the way off. This Superlative Arms gas block is a little bit weird, man. You can use it as a bleed off block, like it'll actually bleed off the gas, or you can use it to restrict the flow. So I'm just going to start out using it as a restrictive gas block, like most of my others. We'll play around with it more in the future, but I don't want to bog down this video with a bunch of testing on a complicated gas block. So whatever. Like I said, it's after 7 p.m. We're about to run out of daylight anyway. I'm not sure how far we'll get tonight, but let's start out by seeing if we can get sighted in. This is 100 yards. Hopefully we're on the paper. All right, we are just barely on the paper, straight high. I probably don't even have my camera zoomed out enough for you guys to see it. I'm going to come down 9 minutes. That should put us pretty close to where we want to be. All right, I'm assuming we did not eject the case. Nope, we didn't. That's good. The piece of brass looks good. Now, I did bring out my Hornady headspace comparator gauge thingy, so let's see how far that shoulder blew forward. Yeah, this looks just about perfect. I think the shoulder moved about 4 thousandths. Excellent. So let's go ahead and shoot one more to check our scope setting change. All right, pretty close. I'm going to come right 1.5 minutes, and we'll see where that puts us. Same headspace number with this guy. So this is excellent. Looks like this brass was actually sized just perfect. Here's what I want to do next. I want to throw the JP bolt in here really quick, and let's compare the headspace measurements between the two bolts. And we'll shoot 2 more shots with this bolt, and then that'll make 4 shots, and I'll go ahead and go through the first cleaning. I'll go ahead and clean the barrel. So let me swap this bolt. All right, we're ready to rock with the JP bolt. See what happens. All right, doesn't seem to have dramatically affected our zero, and the fired brass is reading the exact same measurement. So it looks like headspace wise, these 2 bolts are going to be interchangeable, which is pretty much what I expected, but you got to confirm these things, right? All right, one more shot with this guy. All right, put them right beside each other. All right, so I'm going to tear this guy down. I'm going to put some patches through the barrel. I'm going to switch back to the Ballistic Advantage bolt. We'll save the further testing with the JP bolt for later down the road, and then we'll be ready to start shooting a few groups. So I'm not doing anything special here. I'm just going to start with some Hoppies patches. I've got to tell on myself here a little bit. These patches aren't quite as tight fitting as I would have liked, but it's too late to run back inside and go cutting more patches. But it looks like it's getting the job done. Slowly but surely getting a little bit less and less carbon. All right, so that's the seventh patch there, coming out reasonably clean. I probably didn't have that in focus. There we go, maybe that's in focus. And like I think I mentioned earlier, I didn't even check to see what Ballistic Advantage recommends. So you should definitely check their stuff and break in your barrel the way they want you to. But me, I'm on my own program here. I don't think it matters. All right, there's a bunch of dry ones. Not quite perfect, but good enough. So I came out a couple clicks on the gas block. So let's see if we can start getting this guy to actually cycle. Continue to load them up one at a time here, and we'll just adjust it until we start getting bolt hold open. So let's move to a fresh dot and see if we can get a group started. All right, so we ejected the case, but didn't quite lock the bolt back. Yeah, our case head took a little bit of a beating there. We'll look at that more closely later on, back at the bench. All right, a couple more clicks on the gas block. Couple more clicks. All right, last shot for this group. This will make 10 shots fired. All right, so that case got stuck in front of the bolt here. Yep, got banged up pretty good. So I'll tell you what we'll do next. Let's throw the suppressor on, and I've also got my magnetospeed chronograph out here. We can get a couple velocity measurements and try it with the suppressor on real quick. Our first little 6-shot group there, not great, but certainly not bad. So let me get the suppressor on. Okay, the suppressor and chronograph are on there now. So let's start a new 5-shot group on a fresh dot. So let's hope the suppressor doesn't cause too much point of impact shift. All right, we locked the bolt back, but my piece of brass just landed right here in front of me. The velocity on that shot was 2,601 feet per second. I was expecting about 2,575 from our experience in the Thompson Center compass. Now, super duper crazy hot today, but IMR 4451, which is what we're shooting here, right? The 140 grain Hornady Match Bowtail hollow point with IMR 4451 is advertised as being temperature insensitive. So let's see what the velocity average is over these 5 shots. I've got the next 4 in the magazine. Let's go ahead and see if they'll feed properly. All right, there's a group. Fantastic. Our velocity averaged 2603. Maximum 2615, minimum 2577. 15.8 feet per second standard deviation. All right, so I need to go swap in a fresh target. We've got just a little bit of daylight left. I want to keep shooting, man. After seeing that group, I'm pretty excited. So I'm going to swap targets. I'm also going to go ahead and run some more patches through the gun, and then we'll get back to it. All right, folks, this is where this video goes off the rails. We take a hard left turn straight into a head-on collision. And more specifically, the collision was this. This is my target camera, the one that's downrange, pointed at the target. Went straight into the back of this dude through the viewfinder. This was an ELDX, by the way, and then came right out the lens in the front. This really, really sucks, man. I love this camera. I haven't had it all that long. I guess it's been about a year, but it was a great camera, not anywhere close to being replaced. So that's $850 down the drain. Now you might wonder, how in the world does a guy shoot his target camera when it's 3 or 4 feet to the left of my target? Some of you who watch a lot of my videos may already know. Let's go out and look at the footage, and I'll show you exactly how it happened. All right, so the gun seems to run just fine in full auto mode. Yeah, that's my fault, folks. I'm an idiot and I don't know how to use a trigger properly. So doubles and triples like that occasionally happen to me. So hopefully this is the event that will finally make me fix my terrible trigger technique. I am way too light with my triggers, trying not to move the gun during the shot. That just doesn't work, man. It's fine for bolt action. It's fine for an AR-15 where I'm not dealing with any recoil. But the bigger cartridges in AR-15, and now these in AR-10, I got to get a hold of that grip, man. I've got to be much more firm. But it didn't happen this time. So that was 3 shots that went off. The 3rd shot is the one that hit the camera. I didn't even realize this had happened until I had finished shooting and I went down to grab my target and the camera. And there it was laying on the ground in bits and pieces. By some miracle, the memory card slot, which is right there, did not get touched. And I was able to recover the memory card, and I got the footage that you've already seen of our first target. But everything for the second target was lost. So all we're going to be able to do is talk about what happened next. I've already ordered a replacement. Like I mentioned, I love this camera. It's a Panasonic. There's a cheaper version that'll save me a couple $100. I've already ordered it and it's on the way. It'll be here on Friday. This guy had a couple bells and whistles that I never used anyway. And the cheaper version, exact same lenses and exact same everything, same quality. But I can save a couple $100 by dropping features I never used. All right, tell you what, let me get this glass cleaned up. I shouldn't have dumped it out. See, I'm just an idiot. And before we move on to the next target, let's look at the measurements of the groups that you just watched me shoot. So the left-hand group is the one that we shot without the suppressor. That is a 6-shot group, and it is 1.202 inches. I put the suppressor on, we shot the group on the right, and it came out to a 0.694 incher. That's pretty good shooting, and it looks like a pretty dramatic improvement in accuracy when we threw the suppressor on. So I cleaned the gun, I hung a new target, and then shot these 5 groups. The first group on the top left was just another group with the 140 grain Hornady Match. You can see this guy opened up to a 1.030 inch group. This is still shooting suppressed. The one shot that went high was the first shot of this group. So freshly cleaned barrel, and the first shot went a little bit high, and then the next 4 stacked in right below there. So that's really good shooting with the suppressor and the 140 grain Hornady. The next group was the 143 grain LDX. This is when I had the bump fire problem. And I'll tell you what happened, what really caused that was I had put the suppressor on. I was way overgassed. I knew I was way overgassed. The gun was kicking a little harder than it should, like they do when they're overgassed. And that's what caused the bump fire. And it happened on my 3rd shot. So the 3rd shot in this group went, right into the group. You can see the other bullet hole there, just high and to the left. That was the 2nd shot of the bump fire. And then the 3rd one went into the camera. So that's why I'm ignoring that bullet hole for this group. So what I did is I went ahead and shot 2 more rounds to make this a 5-shot group, and they all went right in there. That's a 0.679 inch group. Really good stuff. Now, the next group, top right. This is the 130 grain Sierra Game King with the suppressor, a 0.681 inch group. I am extremely happy with these 3 groups. This barrel can clearly shoot, and it clearly likes having the suppressor on there, which is good for me. I like shooting suppressed. So what I did after that is I took the suppressor off. I was just about to run out of daylight. So I shot 2 more groups. The bottom left-hand group is the 143 grain LDX without the suppressor. It's a 1.303 inch group, but I only had 3 rounds left because of the bump fire situation. So 3-shot group, 1.3 inches, not awesome. And the last group, I barely had enough daylight to get it in. This was the 130 grain Sierra Game King without the suppressor, 0.946 inch group. Not too bad. That's not bad at all, but it's just not quite as good as it was when we had the suppressor on there. Now the velocities for our other couple loads. So so all 3 of them here. The 140 grain Hornady Match bullet, we expected about 2575, and we ended up at 2605 average. So that load, 25 feet per second higher than we anticipated. The 143 grain LDX, we were expecting 2650, and we got 2613. So that guy was just a little bit lower. And with the 130 grain Sierra Game King, we were expecting 2800, and we got 2808. So one was higher, one was lower, and one was exactly what we were expecting. But none of them were, drastically different. So nothing really freak out about there. All 3 bullets shot well, right? We shot good groups with all 3 bullets. So I couldn't be happier, other than, killing a camera. I could not be happier with the performance of our gun today. Now, I was all over the place with gas. I was way overgassed at times when I was shooting suppressed. And when we had the suppressor off, I didn't really have enough gas until the very end, which I can't show you. But yeah, I was kind of playing around with that a little bit. The new gas block's going to take a little time to tune in, but it all looks really promising. And at the end, when I finally did get it running well without the suppressor, I had it set to give us all the gas it could. So I think if you're not planning to shoot suppressed, a standard gas block would probably be just fine. I was never able to get it to a point where it was overgassed without the suppressor. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I've been like rambling for 2 minutes trying to make a point and never really got there, but it seems like the gas port diameter and all of that junk is just about right, and a standard gas block might be all you need. So next, let's look at the brass. These first 2 pieces were with the Aero Precision bolt, and these were the first 2 shots when we had the gas turned off, or pretty close to being completely turned off. Not much going on here. Little bit of primer cratering, which is exactly what we see in the Thompson Center compass. Just a touch. Maybe a minor shiny spot on that guy, but nothing really remarkable here. These next two pieces were with the JP bolt, and it does seem like the primer cratering is less pronounced on these. Yeah, if there's any cratering at all. I did show you guys a picture of the differences in the firing pin and the firing pin diameter and that sort of junk. That's what that's all about, is to stop primer cratering, I believe. And it looks like here the JP did a pretty good job. Don't see anything else weird going on, or yeah, maybe a little shiny spot over there on that dude, but looks pretty good. Now then we went back to the Aero Precision bolt for the rest of the day, and here are a couple examples I pulled out that actually do have a little bit of markings or damage on them, but it's not bad. That guy kind of got the mark there on the extractor side, maybe a little bit of a smearing sort of thing going on here on some of them at the ejector side. But this isn't awful, right? This isn't bad. This is not even close to being damaged enough to take him out of service. A couple little bites here and there from the extractor, but I'm not seeing like bent rims or anything goofy like that. Yeah, there you go. There's a couple good marks. And remember, these are the worst ones I could find in the box. Let me look again, see if I can find some more. Here are a couple smears at the top and a little bit of a bite on the opposite side. So I'm very encouraged by this. Got a few marks from dragging across the barrel extension during extraction. So nothing unexpected there. Overall, I'm very happy so far with what I'm seeing here with the brass. I've heard so many horror stories about Creedmoor AR-10s that I was really expecting things to be bad, because to be honest, over in our 308, man, we're tearing up some brass. So I figured it might be worse over here. Now keep in mind, this is small primer brass. So if we go to large primer brass, we may have a whole different set of difficulties, and we'll get to that eventually. But here for video number one, pretty pleased with the brass, especially considering all of the messing around we were doing with the gas block and being overgassed for a big portion of it. So pretty happy. Another huge deal is we had absolutely no problems with function while shooting the 130 grain Sierra Game King with that crazy flat tip. They fed like a dream, no problem at all. So that is excellent news and makes me feel confident that we're going to be able to try any frickin' bullet we want to without running into feeding issues. So why in the world, why is 6.5 Creedmoor so easy? We've known nothing but success with the 6.5 Creedmoor. We bought a $200 bolt action gun and it shoots amazing. We take our brand new AR-10 upper to the range for the first time and it's cranking out multiple 0.6 and 0.7 inch groups. Why can't I do that with 308? It drives me crazy. Same shooter, same lower, same trigger, same scope, same everything. Now we've been using Hornady dies in 6.5 Creedmoor. I picked up a set of Hornady dies in 308 just to try that. It's about the only thing I've got left to try is another set of dies. If that doesn't help, I might just have to accept the fact that I suck at loading 308. But I'm extremely excited here with the 6.5 Creedmoor. It looks like we've got a really good shooting platform to explore the world of reloading in the AR-10. Big thanks again to Ballistic Advantage for sending the barrel. That was nice of them. They didn't have to do it. We had actually already decided to buy this exact barrel when they showed up in the comments section of one of the videos and said they'd send me one. So big thanks to them. But none of this would have been possible without all of the viewer donations that funded this whole AR-10 project to begin with. Probably 100 donations, large and small. My audience is amazing and I really appreciate the support. So I think that's where we leave this, folks. If I can hurry up and get this thing edited, I'm hoping to have this this video up on the evening of the 4th of July. So I hope you guys had a nice day off. Hopefully you got a day off. And we'll be back here in just a couple days with the next video. Like I said, the new camera is already in the mail, headed my direction. So it's just a little speed bump, a really crappy speed bump. All right, folks, I'll see you guys next time.